Hey Grace Church, I'm down at a empty and cold venue. I've just been part of a Christ Central Leaders online gathering. It's always amazing to pray live with church leaders in the continent of Africa and North America and South America and the Middle East and different parts of Europe as well as the UK. It's been great as well hearing some family news. You might not even remember, but the COVID-19 Christ Central appeal raised over £150,000. It's one of our largest family offerings as a group of churches. All that money's been spent going towards different people that's needed it. You saw on the Devoted video how Joseph Muilla and some of the churches that he looks after had provided food for families that otherwise wouldn't have had any during this time. There's lots of other stories, some of which you will hear on the 11th of October, which is going to be a Christ Central Sunday morning. Jeremy Simpkins, the apostle that leads our family of churches, is going to be our guest speaker, pre-recorded, obviously not live in the flesh. And there's going to be an opportunity to give as well, to give to an offering that's going to go to the mission of Christ Central churches right across the world. Christ Central, in terms of their accounts right now, they're empty because they've given away all the money that we have previously raised. But there's still church plants, there are still missionaries, there are still communities in need that might not necessarily be in nations where there is a lot of welfare provision right now. And we're there not only to proclaim the gospel, but also to relieve people that are in need. So I really want to encourage you, get ready to give. We'll give you the details of how on the 11th of October for our Christ Central churches, where again, we'll get to hear lots of other family news. Some of the family news that we'll hear as well is about the Ukraine. There is a real network of church plants that are springing up over there that we are growing in relationship with. For those of you that are really good with your current affairs, you'll know the recent story about Ukraine and the annexation from Russia and the conflict that's been happening there. Well, lots of people have moved away from areas of conflict, displaced within their own nation, but are starting new church plants. And there's been a call recently from some church leaders that Christ Central have started to grow in relationship with. Martin Charlesworth, being friends with some of these church leaders since the 90s. Jeremy Simpkins more recently, last year before COVID-19 being able to visit as well, has asked us to really consider, they're praying for 6 individuals or couples to travel to Ukraine and go on mission. Now, we're not talking like a 10-day little kind of mission holiday thing where you get to see the sights and some churches and so forth. We're talking about 10 individuals or couples that are willing to relocate for a reasonable period of time, a year, maybe 2 years or more, to go and encourage churches in the Ukraine and to travel around potentially as well and encourage other church leaders. That may be you watching this. I don't want to write anybody off in terms of who God might be calling right now. I would love it if we all stayed in Stoke and continued to build a wonderful, amazing church, but God sends us sometimes. So consider that. You'll hear more on October 11th. Right, let's take you on a little walk around this venue. It's looking empty because not the fact that you're not here, because we've had to move loads of furniture and things out of the way to get ready to welcome some of you back soon. This lovely hospitality area that was all newly decorated has had all of the sofas removed, because if they're in here, we've got to properly deep clean them after each time. So the recommendation is, if you're not desperately needing to use it, take it out, store it away. Otherwise, you're going to need to deep clean it each time. I'm here in the main venue. You'll be able to start to see behind me that we have socially distanced the chairs 2 meters apart, which means that there's not an awful lot of room and capacity in here. We've tried to be a bit creative. We think from the response from the survey that you sent in, most people are going to come as individuals or maybe pairs. Some of our families might be able to come in 3s. I don't know if there are many 4s, but we have laid out some sets of 4s, some sets of 2s for individuals or pairs. There's a set of 3 somewhere. Excuse all the mess. There's a set of 3 there as well. but mostly spaces for ones and twos. We will give you a video of the walkthrough and what you can expect if you're coming, and what you'll need to do before you come, and all of that stuff soon. We are hoping that we may be able to move broadcasting to the church venue live every Sunday from the 11th of October. So from the 11th of October, which is that Christ Central Sunday, we're hoping that we will have a small, socially distanced worship team from the venue, that the hosting will happen from the venue, and I'd say the preaching, but this time it's going to be pre-recorded by Mr. Jeremy Simpkins himself. Once we know that the tech is all working, we will then have another discussion as elders and trustees to make the decision about whether we go for it, whether we start to invite some of you to come and occupy some of those chairs that are out there. We want to gather as soon as reasonably practicable to do, but we want to make sure that as we know that there are going to be several people that aren't going to come and be amongst us, that they don't feel like they're part of a second tier church on a dodgy live stream that doesn't work properly. We want to make sure all our gear is correct, so that whether you're watching and being part of church at home or here in person, we are one church gathering together on a Sunday morning. So I think it's probably going to be the end of October, beginning of November, and we're also going to just look out and heed what are the trends going on, what's the R number doing, what's the advice about gathering. We don't want to abuse our permission to meet. We want to be wise and we want to be safe in the way that we do that, but we also don't want to neglect meeting together. So whoa, hold on, I've forgotten completely another thing, which is to say that it's the 1st of October, which means that Bex called us on Sunday. We wholly endorse this as an eldership to pray every day during October for salvation. It's been a while since we've seen someone saved through the family, through the work, through the efforts of Grace Church. We know it's God that does the saving, but you know what I'm saying. We've got an Alpha course starting on the 12th, well, the week beginning the 12th of October on the Tuesday, which I think is the 13th. You will hear more about that from Mr. Jeremy Chalmers this Sunday. But I just want to remind you, let's pray church every day, whether that is a few minutes or a few hours. Let's stretch ourselves, but let's seek God every day and not relent in asking him to save our friends, our family members, our neighbours, people that we may not even know about yet that we might come into contact with this month. People at school, people at uni, people at college. Let's pray that God saves people, that we might end this month with salvation stories. Quick encouragement, Grace Church. You might have seen it on my Facebook. As part of the Christ Central Leaders meeting that I was talking about earlier, a church in Darlington, one of our Christ Central churches, was talking about the fact that through their food bank, it's been running 10 years, they've never seen this happen before. Suddenly, in the last couple of months, they have seen 7 people saved. And actually, Jeremy Simpkins tweeted out just last night that he's just heard that there's been a further 2 more people that have been added. So that's 7, 8, 9, 9 people, terrible maths, 9 people saved through their food bank provision. Nothing spectacular in terms of preaching the gospel, but just people asking the why questions and church members and volunteers sharing simply the good news of Jesus. That could be us. I want that to be us. Please, Lord, would you save people through the interactions that we have as a church family? I want to encourage you, let's pray for that every single day. Speak to you soon, everybody. Bye.